Hey everybody, it's Tom Cherryholmes with the FujiNet project, and I wanted to make a quick work in progress video showing some of the things that I'm trying to work through while working through the HTTP protocol adapter for the end device. Before I actually start this video, I want to make a particular statement here, and that's that everything that you're seeing in these videos, particularly the work in progress videos that I've been peppering all throughout the last year, shows a direct look into my thought process as the various pieces of FujiNet actually evolve into something that's workable. So that basically just the disclaimer is everything that you see here might actually change. All of it might change. But if I do, I'll make another video about it. And I will update the documentation appropriately to reflect the changes that I've made. So this is the thought process that I have at this point in time. If we take a look here, we have a little basic program here that actually takes and connects to the FujiNet testing address over here at Errata Online. It grabs the headers, the two headers that I'm looking for, date and etag. It retrieves them, it displays them on screen, and then proceeds to grab the body. And it does this by basically changing the behavior of the input and output channel using an XIO command. In this case, it's XIO number 77, which corresponds to the ASCII character M, capital M, which I'm using here to mean mode. And currently, there are three major modes here that are currently in this command, and there will be more added, such as one to be able to set headers to send to the server when you do the initial response. A little bit about HTTP in and of itself. When you do an HTTP request, such as what I'm doing here with curl, it goes ahead and sends any headers that you request to the server, followed by the verb with the path that you want to retrieve back. In this case, since we're not really specifying anything other than the default, this verb is get, and I'm not specifying any headers to send to the server. So the server will take and just send back what it thinks is actually appropriate in the response. However, since curl doesn't display this information, it only displays the body. But you can use dump header here to actually take and grab the contents of the header. So we have our little test web page here. And if we look at the dump header file that it generated, we'll see all of the headers that come back as part of this URL. Headers such as server to denote the web server that's in use, the date that the document is rendered, the content type of the information, how big the content length is, when it was last modified, whether or not we're keeping alive the connection, etc., etc., etc. And we're actually going to be using a basic program here to take and grab a couple of pieces of those headers that we're interested in, primarily the date and the etag commands. And we'll see the output of this right here. You'll see right there that it immediately grabbed the headers, and then proceeded to fetch the body. And we'll go ahead and do this again. And I'll hit Control 1 to stop here. You'll see the contents of the date and the etag headers coming back. And you'll notice that because there are quotes around the etag here, it's bringing that over literally with the quotes intact. This is in keeping with the HTTP standard. And then we start to immediately take and fetch the body. And it looks like, I waited too long and the connection kind of looped there. So let's try that one more time. Oop. You can see that there's definitely some goofy bugs that need to be resolved. But there we go. Bam. And if we actually take and step through this now, we'll see how this actually works. The first thing that we need to do we need to go ahead and just have a little string variable that's sitting over here to the side that we can use. And we can then open up a connection to the web server. Now I'm actually going to take and put the shell window off to the side here for a moment and bring up the code, bring up my monitor window so you can see what's actually happening on the FujiNet as we do these things. Now, since I know that this document is on a Unix machine and it was created on a Unix machine, it has Unix line endings, so I'm telling FujiNet here with the 12,2 to translate those into a task and back for me automatically. Now, at this particular point in time, it has not established the HTTP connection yet. It hasn't done anything except just go ahead and set things up to get ready to actually do the HTTP transaction when it feels it needs to. So the next thing we need to do, since we want to grab headers that we want to take and pull later, is we need to issue the XIO command to do so. And we need to preserve aux1 as it is, so we have to carry it over. Since we opened with 12, and 12 is the special form of get that doesn't go ahead and prefetch the file, we need to pass that over with a 1 here. And we need to just say, okay, done. Now at this point in time, we've now reset the channel mode to take and grab headers, to collect headers. So this means that anytime I take and ask for a particular set of headers through the print command, maybe actually I want to grab another header here. Just as an example, we'll look at let's have a look here. Maybe I want to grab the server type. Sure, no problem. So I'll go ahead and print number 1, server, and grab all 3 of those headers. Now you'll notice that in each of those cases, it wrote over SIO to the FujiNet each of these headers. They're now sitting inside of a little array inside the FujiNet to indicate to the HTTP routines, these are the headers that we're interested in. We've collected them. Now at this point, if I take and immediately say that I want to get those headers, then I can issue a 12,2, which will flip over to the get headers mode. And immediately after, we see that we immediately perform the HTTP transaction. We get a result code of 200 back, which means everything's okay, so we won't get an error back. And we have a 657 byte body chunk right here, and we're getting it all in one big whomp with 3 headers coming back. Each of the headers right here, all in the order that we requested them, the date, the E tag, and the server. So now, if I take and input them, these headers are already pre-formatted for a TASCII with the correct line endings. So when I grab them, first I get the date, then I get the E tag, and then I get the server. So those 3 are now ready to go here. Bam, all good. At this point, I can go ahead and now flip over to data mode or body mode. Oops, I actually have to format the command correctly there. And now we're sitting trying to get the body. And at this point, if we start grabbing body, we will start to see, that's interesting. Okay, Huh. That is definitely interesting. Close number 1. Not perfect, but we'll try that again. Works fine here. Go figure. So as you can see, it's still evolving here. But this is the idea of how this needs to work. Setting headers will take and use a similar idiom where we use the XIO77, the mode change command, to say, I want to send some headers, and then we print those headers across. So, until next time, fellas, go ahead and close that off. Have fun.